morning, class. My name is Oliver Weah. I am a 26-year veteran of the middle school classroom.
Hey, and my name is Nancy Jackson, and I've taught for almost 30 years.
And you are listening to episode 12 of Middle School Madness, a podcast about teaching and things that are interesting to teachers. Today on the show, we are going to talk about what makes May such a crazy month. We're going to come up with 10 tips on how to survive in May as a teacher. And then Nancy, we are going to play one of my favorite games. It's called What Are You Drinking? Where where the question is, if the summer months were coffee drinks, what are you drinking and where do you go to get it? Right?
Okay, I'm looking forward to the end.
Everybody, hey, just like the month of May, that's what everybody looks forward to. So I thought it'd be fun if anyone would ever listen to this to give them a little backstory that you and I have been running together every Sunday for like the past 11 years. And like a lot of our runs, by the time we hit the finish line, I would say we have solved about 90% of the world's problems, right?
I totally agree.
And then we sit down, we have a cup of coffee, and we solve a few more problems. So today, we want to solve the problem about how to survive the month of May, right?
hmm
Okay, so here we go. Let's just go back and forth like a volleyball match, tennis match,
Okay,
whichever. Let's come up with all of our ideas about what makes May so crazy. You go first.
well, I think people's anxiety because they do this countdown. Because I work at the elementary school, so we talk about like, hey, we're at the 100-day, 100 days of school, and it's like you're just inching towards the finish line, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're here, and it's all these little things you have to button up to send those kids on to the next grade.
I would say things that make it crazy in the month of May are sunny days.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one. Absolutely. Um, I'm going to say inside recess.
Ooh, that makes it crazy. I'm
That
going to
makes it
say
crazy.
the rumor mill always gets crazy in May.
Oh, I'm going to say the PSSAs.
I'm going to say, because I work in a middle school, clearly hormones, adolescence, and puberty make it crazy.
I'm going to say the electronic devices make it crazy. And I
uh,
think that you would back me on that, that you would totally agree.
oh my gosh, every day. Every day I got to text my mom. I would say that 100% energy mixed with zero focus makes it crazy.
Yeah. I would say when there are not enough substitutes.
Good. That's really good.
Is that a good one?
That is really
I
good.
feel like I'm exhausting my list, but if I keep thinking about it after this podcast, I'll come up with like 10
You'll
more.
come up with more. I would say everybody runs low on patience in the month of May, which makes it so crazy.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm going to say the exact same thing. Everybody runs low on patience. Totally, totally. And it's just I think it's just a mixture of stuff. You didn't get coffee in the morning, you're running late. Um, whatever stress you bring from home, you bring into the building sometimes. The kids, the same thing. They bring in the same kind of stress. Um, And this is just something that has happened since the beginning of school till the end. When kids do not come with a pencil. I know that
Yeah,
sounds totally ridiculous for people listening, but it's like I am not the store
you
to
got to.
supply you with
Well,
pencils every day.
in my middle school, we call that the computer charger.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That that makes us crazy in the month of May. I would add on to this, field trips make us
hmm
crazy in the month of May, you know? End of school, activities are
Activities.
crazy.
Yeah. I know. It's all sorts of little things. And then it's just the little drama that kids kind of create that you somehow get sucked into the middle of because you've got to resolve it.
If we could add a favorite word to 2024, it would be gaslighting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where
Mhm.
kids just try to gaslight you, as in, "Why can't I sit next to my friend?" Because for 27 weeks you taught me that just wasn't possible.
Mhm.
Don't gaslight me. Don't get me all fired up. I'm trying to get to the end of the school year.
Right, and that's where it's kind of like, you're right, patience. I've heard it since the beginning of school, and I just can't hear it anymore.
Yeah. I know who you are, and you don't fool me,
Yeah.
right? And my last one before we move on, I would write on something that makes me crazy is the good student you've had the entire school year who now wants to dabble in, what if I do something mischievous? Can they really get me in trouble? There's only 5 days left.
Yeah.
and, and your head explodes.
But you know what's interesting too, like for those same kids, um, they kind of realize, like with, like the principal, like they have zero tolerance now.
Exactly.
So whatever little misstep you might make, they're like, yeah, you're suspended, you're in school suspension, you lose recess. There's just no wiggle room anymore.
So here we are in May. The world around us is crazy energy, high energy, low patience. Between the both of us, we got 50 years of experience of
Hmm.
how do we survive? What's the number? Put something on our top 10 list of tips that teachers can use to survive the month of May.
Well, I know that teachers all walk around with their iPhone, and I will say, sometimes pictures just pop up like memories, and you just look at a picture and it's the expression, a picture says a thousand words. All of a sudden it kind of takes you back to that moment, to that time, and you just breathe for a second because it might make you laugh, it makes you smile. It just it just makes you happy.
I'm going to add on to that, like all good improvers. And I'm going to say, yes, in that moment of total chaos where like the volume's really high, not everyone is sitting down, your well constructed lesson is falling apart right in front of you, to just sit there and instead of just yelling, you know, take a night breath, breathe
Hmm.
in, right? Breathe out. Maybe you say, happy thoughts, happy memories. This too shall pass. The
Yes.
bell shall ring, but I am going to remain calm.
Yes.
I,
And I know we all have like those posters in our classroom and stuff, but you know what? They have become sort of like invisible to me because they've been up for so many years.
I tell you what, and there's another whole podcast on do motivational posters really motivate? Maybe for like one day in September, but
Yeah.
after that, not so
Yeah.
much. I would say tip number 9 in our top 10 list. If you have this, and this is a rarity, right?
Hmm.
I want to thank my father and his genetics for this. If you have a sense of humor, May is a great time to use it.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Don't use sarcasm though. Just a nice, friendly sense of humor. And I guess I encompass that with, you're tired, you don't have any patience, but sometimes a friendly, humorous moment can really deflect, diffuse, diminish any kind of situation that's about to escalate because it's May.
Oh, absolutely. And what I love is when a kid can come back with a funny comment,
Yeah.
and then it can be very impressive, like, "Oh, you've got it. You've
Yeah,
got it."
you got it. Like, I volleyed and you volleyed right back to me. Something that I thought was going to go south because it's May and it's crazy, and you just made my day better because you made my classroom better. Using humor is great.
And I
Okay.
think you probably have more stories of that because you've got middle school kids.
They're crazy. They are crazy people. We were reading a script the other day.
Mhm.
It was just a script like in a car, and the one kid turned to me and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Weah, like, what happened if like the driver just like reached over and like kissed the passenger?" And I'd be like, one, we are not going to promote that. Two, that is really funny. And I would love to write the scene of me in the principal's office
Yeah.
trying to describe how the scene got away from me. And you leaned over and kissed the person in the passenger seat. Like, good job. Like, that was just a great moment, the visual in my head of, well, I'm sorry, principal, but, we were doing the scene and they just reached right over, put his arm around the passenger and kissed him. What was I to do? Right?
He just wanted to add a little ambiance to the whole
Exactly.
script.
They were in the moment, right? It's puberty, adolescence,
Absolutely.
teenagers. All right, what do we got next? Number 8 on our list of tips.
Well, I will say, and maybe it's just because I'm older and I totally enjoy listening to commencement speeches.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's great just to like type in, the 10 top commencement speeches. And there's always just a little nugget that you just hold on to. And then I can just, it's like a rerun. I can listen to it again, like the next day, in a week or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I need to hear that also. Because I don't know if I'm always getting that from administration, like you're doing a great job kind of thing. But a great commencement speech, oh, that can go really far.
It gives you hope,
Oh, totally.
right?
Totally.
They always focus on the positive. They always focus on great, awesome outcomes. You've traveled the journey. Now you just have to go a little farther.
See, there's one right there. You've got it. Hey, University of Pittsburgh, call Oliver Weah.
Call me up. All right, a good commencement speech. I was thinking for number 7 on our tips for how to survive in May, design lessons for the month of May,
Mm-hmm.
meaning it needs to be simple, it needs to be fun. Maybe it's outdoors, right? Maybe it's something that is in that realm that everybody can accomplish without you having to be a taskmaster of turning in a checklist of 20,000 billion things that no one cares about because it's May.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just wants to do something that's fun, maybe in a different environment, whether they get tired of the elementary classroom or you get tired of my classroom. Hey, we're going to go outside and do this and we can accomplish it in one day. Create something that's fun.
Now, see, this is interesting because I think you're thinking of the things to survive in May, and I'm thinking personally, me as a teacher, like, what do I need to survive?
Well, and so this is great. If you, as the teacher, create a lesson plan that is simple,
Mm-hmm.
right? Easy, can be accomplished, that just might work better than something where you're reaching for too many things. It's not complicated. It doesn't follow the KISS principle,
Yeah.
right? I think that would make like I know my assignments. I will use the expression really keep them simple. The
Oh,
other day
yeah.
in the hallway, I'm talking to like the coding teacher, and I'm like, if I can accomplish one thing a day in my 40 minutes, that's great because
Mm-hmm.
they have 100% energy, zero focus.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good day.
No, absolutely. Like, the students kind of have a project that they have to turn in like towards the first week in May, I believe. And I think just giving them something they can do at home with their parents, bring a completed project to school and then just present it, the whole stress level just goes away because for, if there's 20 kids in the class, 19 kids just have to listen. One kid just
Exactly.
has to present,
Yep.
and
All
that's
right.
it.
Number 6, back to you. What is a youthful tip for a teacher to help survive the month of May?
Um, so I strongly recommend finding something positive about a student that maybe has struggled throughout the school year and calling a parent and just, kind of reflecting and talking about some positive things about that child, how that you've seen them grown. And I just think getting that positive feedback from a parent is just can go miles.
That is one of the unwritten secrets of teaching that I think benefits both the parent,
Hmm.
it could say both, all three. It benefits the parent, the student, and you. It's great to be the person who gives good news. You know,
Oh yeah. And I don't know if it's done enough.
I would say it's not done enough, but if you have the energy to do that in May, just to like you said, I
It's a
had a
quick little phone call.
it's a quick little phone call. Or you can look up the kid's email and just say, "Hey, I had your student in class today. I just wanted to let you know 5 minutes left in class. The student wanted to do karaoke. We put up Taylor Swift Shake It Off, and your son was screaming at the top of his lungs with full energy and enthusiasm, and he got the whole class into it. It was a great way to end the day. Thank you."
And you know what else is great? That's what they'll always remember. So when they sit there and see you 5 years from now, they'll be like, "Hey, remember that time that we like sang and danced to a Taylor Swift song?" That's the memory they're going to hold on to.
Yeah, I like your tip. That is a really good tip. because then it's funny. My tip would have been, oh my gosh. So, all right, that would have been so my tip number 5, if I was keeping track of the list here, I wrote down have fun and enjoy my student relationships, which is very similar to yours, right?
Yeah.
You got to remember that you're always going to have good students. It's nice now at the end of the year to say, hey, look, I just want to tell you, it has been great watching you grow up. Whether you
Hmm.
learned anything in my class, I love looking at that kid who could barely have a pencil, have a charger, but by the end of the year, they have these things. They show up every day. You ask a task, they get it done. They might even ask an insightful question.
Yeah.
They've gone from one word answers and grunts to complete sentences. And I do enjoy in May saying, hey, it is great to have you in my class because you have made my classroom a fun place to teach.
And kids need to hear that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, they
Because
almost need to hear it like every day, but when it's authentic like that, ah, yeah, it's
and
like the
that's
best gift you can give them.
and that's the month of May. I think, yes, as we said, with numbers 5 and 6, say something positive. Let students know if you've enjoyed having them in your classroom.
Hmm.
Um, it helps you survive. It
Yeah.
definitely helps you survive. All right, what
And
do you
like,
got? Oh, go ahead.
oh, well, I was going to say, so this is like elementary school, and kids love extra recess. I don't care if it's 10 minutes, if it's 12 minutes, they feel like they won the lottery when they get extra recess because
It's
they just
true.
need to run around.
It is true. And I think you told me this because I remember when you go back 5, 6 years, I don't remember when,
Hmm.
but because we've got our state mandated testing this week, with all of my classes, you've got 20 minutes. We could easily go out the back door of our building. We could walk around the building,
Hmm.
come back in, and still accomplish one thing in 15 minutes. But now they were so much more focused. I mean,
Right.
literally, just because we had gone for a walk.
Yeah, it's just the little things.
Of course, we do have to have the 3 simple rules of the walk. You ready for this?
I am.
Yeah.
I
Um,
want to hear.
Rule number 1 for how to take your class for a walk because we're going around the building. Number 1, stay on the road. Never leave the road. Don't go on
Mm,
the grass, stay on the road.
okay.
Number 2, pick nothing up. If you pick nothing up, you have nothing to throw, right?
There we go.
And rule number 3, I go, this rule comes all the way from kindergarten, so I hope you remember it. Keep your hands to yourself. We're not right? We're not going to piggyback people. We're not going to hit people. We're not going to like punch people. We're not going to,
Hmm.
all this stuff. And what's funny is that you'll be out there walking and, all of a sudden you have the spontaneous sprinter. Some kid who has never ran in his entire life, his body is going to say, you must move now. And you just watch them just like take off. And you're like, there you go. Burn it off. Burn it
Yeah,
off.
they have to burn it off.
Okay, so now we're down to reason number 2. What can we do to help survive in the month of May?
Ah, let me think. Well, breathe, open a window, fresh air. I know those sound like little itty bitty things, but I'm telling you, if the air conditioning is not working, open a window and get that fresh air in there.
See this?
Especially because when those kids are at recess, the boys, they come in and it's like, oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Oh my is
yeah.
right. That is so funny. Clearly, I want to say just by looking at our last 3 here, right? Extra recess, take them
Hmm.
for a walk, fresh air, that you and I like being outside.
Yes.
Clearly, we got a connection with that there. Where I will just say, and when we ran today, we jokingly said, and the number one thing a teacher can do
Hmm.
to survive the month of May is fake drum roll,
That
exercise, right? And
number one.
number one, get out. I don't care what you do, right?
Hmm.
Swim, bike, run. What is it? Pickleball is,
Pickleball. Listen, I just came back from the Y, and it's just great to be there and just I don't care if you're there for like 30 minutes. It just renews you.
It really does. And what I like about going to the Y, because I go to the Y to swim,
Hmm.
is that I love the age range in the pool with me. It's the greatest
Oh.
motivator. It's the greatest thing that puts me right in my little lane of humility, right? When
Hmm.
there could be 2 lanes over, someone who's 20 years, older than me, lapping me, you know? And I am also motivated by the person who might be 3 times my size, who I
Hmm.
lap them, but I'm like, "You're my idol because you're in the water just like me. Like, we are equals. We both made it."
Yeah,
I would also
exercise for sure.
and exercise with friends.
Hmm.
You know, it's okay to exercise by yourself, but as you and I will say, we feel great at the end of a run, whether we solve the world's problems, whether we talk about the weather, the car accidents we've seen, you know.
Right. Or it's like sometimes we don't even have to say anything. It's like it's just getting to the stop sign.
Right. Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think if you can employ all of these, you can survive the month of May, which is never easy. We
Hmm.
want to get there. But now, Nancy, it is time for that favorite round of what are you drinking? Okay. So here's the deal. It is the month of June. School is out. You can have any coffee drink you want that relates to the month of June. Nancy, what are you drinking?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm going to sound so boring, but it's just like a basic cup of coffee with some almond milk and like sweet and
Okay.
low. I mean, just simple, simple, simple.
Well, I like that because right at the end of a school year, we want something as simple. Do you go anywhere? Is there any special place to go to get this cup of coffee with almond milk?
Let me tell you something. It's about 10 steps away because literally when I wake up, the coffee is all prepped and all I, because it's all prepped the night before. My husband does that. And all I have to do is put the water in. 10 minutes later, I have a full pot of coffee.
It is now the month of July, right? We're into the heart of summer. Nancy, what are you drinking?
I am still doing the same thing. I'm still drinking. Well, here's the problem. See, I'm not really a coffee snob, so I can
Right.
just kind of drink like anything. Not a big tea drinker, but I love the smell of coffee early in the morning and just having a cup of coffee. Like nobody's really awake in the house and it's just quiet and you can just drink a cup of coffee in peace.
Here we go. Now we're on to the final month of summer. It's August. And
I
as my
know.
dad would say, June and July is one long Saturday night. August is one long Sunday evening.
Oh
Nancy,
God, it's so true.
it's August. What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Let me think. I wonder if people can guess what it's going to be. Coffee with some almond milk and a little bit of sweet and low. And you know what? Here's the thing. It's like we always buy the same brand
Mhm.
unless for whatever reason they might be out of it.
Right.
And I don't know. It's just easy. It's just simple. It always cracks me up because we run on Sundays. How many people come in to go and buy a cup of coffee? And I was like, oh, I would be in my jammies. I wouldn't be in the car. I'd be drinking coffee at home.
Well, how about that dad today who literally went to the Brugger's in his
Hmm.
jammies, in his pajama top, threw the baby in the carriage, walked in with the baby in like the baby seat, got his coffee, walked out, put the baby back in, got back in the SUV and drove away all in his jammies.
I know. I thought that was so funny, and I would have been like, "Honey, go to the grocery store."
You could have gone through a drive-through. I mean, maybe he got a bagel. I don't know. We didn't ask.
Yeah, we did not ask. And we just use a basic like I don't know, Mr. Coffee, whatever you call him. But I think you used to have a French press, correct?
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Do
still
you
do.
still use that?
Every morning.
Okay, there you go.
Every morning. And just to let you know, uh, I think I have gone through the entire row of coffee at Giant Eagle. I'm not a big I'm not a big buy one brand and stick to it. Every time
Hmm.
I go, I try to pick a different brand of coffee and then I buy that. And then you know me, there's a couple really nice not what do they call them? Not brewmasters, places where they burn the beans, grind the beans, heat the
Oh, yeah,
beans.
I don't know. I don't know. What is that called? I
Wow,
don't know.
I totally blanked out on oh, roaster.
Oh,
There's a couple really good roasters around here that I like to go to and,
mhm.
pick up different blends of whatever just to make life interesting.
Well, and just for people out there that are listening to this, like every December, I know that you always give our tiny little group of runners coffee, which is always a huge delight.
Yeah, well, it's fun. Well, and that as the story goes, the one year I walked in and I described your personalities, and then the barista was like, "Oh, let me see if I can find a flavor for that." And that
Yeah,
was
that
great.
was great fun. That was
That
great
was
fun.
Well, Nancy, there is the sound of the bell. It is time to shut down the smart board, turn off the lights, and leave the greatest playground in the world, your classroom. So glad you have decided to become a teacher because we all know the world needs good teachers. Nance, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you for inviting me. This was so much fun.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you in the hallway.
Bye bye.